Here now, Russ Fulcher, Congressman for Idaho's 1st District. Congressman, thank you for your time. Boy, my head is spinning. Strike while the iron is hot. The president off to a very quick start in Washington with all of these executive orders. Let's start with the immigration policies and what we're already seeing roll out with the deportation plan. What is your thought right now on the first 48 hours of the Trump administration?
Well, Marnie, we've got 4 years where we've had basically an open border, and we have no idea who is in this country. And somewhere in the range of 10 to 20 million people have come in. We know that a lot of these are not friendly. We've seen the results of that through law enforcement channels, and the Lake and Riley issue, of course, is at the pinnacle of that. And so we're attempting to deal with that here. And so this Lake and Riley bill, which, as you mentioned earlier, is going to be up for final vote here within a few hours, simply gives law enforcement more tools to deal with this. And unfortunately, we need them. Law enforcement needs that to fight the crime that's happening by non-citizens that are here. A lot of people have come in that, quite frankly, have come from prisons in other countries and mental health issues from other countries, and they're now loose in America. We need some incremental tools to deal with that, and that's what this bill is about. And it's going to pass in a bipartisan way. I believe that. Yeah,
I was going to follow up with, do you foresee any challenges in getting it through this final gate?
You know, I really don't. It's passed thus far on a bipartisan issue, as it should. And I think we're going to see that strongly today.
I want to talk to you about some of the things that have happened out of Washington in the last 24 hours. This prayer breakfast or prayer service was certainly not anything anyone was expecting from the bishop in the comments. Pretty unusual to have the president singled out with a direct message, as we saw. Your thoughts on this and how Trump is handling it?
Well, this is Washington, D.C., and this is the National Cathedral, and quite frankly, they're not known for a bastion of conservatism there. And I think we saw that play out today. Personally, I think it was a bit arrogant and out of place for this bishop to take the position that she did with the president there. And she was tone deaf to the voice of America here over the last few months and with this last election. And frankly, I think is going to see blowback as a function of all that. And so the president has already come out, and as only he can, to voice his opposition to what took place there. And just don't be shocked if you don't see another major event happening at the National Cathedral for a while as a function of this.
Interesting. I want to talk about one of the other executive orders, Congressman, to stop the Lava Ridge wind energy. This is a project that was set for your state. You've called the windmill farm disastrous, say it wasn't accepted nor welcomed by folks in your state. What is it, and what would it have entailed?
Well, first of all, people need to understand that there is no such thing as a wind project that doesn't take taxpayer subsidies to make it work. This is incredibly expensive power. And in this case, there is a massive windmill farm that was proposed in the state of Idaho on federal land that whereby, if ever put in place, the power wouldn't even stay within our state or even the Pacific Northwest. It was slated to go to California. So all of the ingredients of this are just wrong. It's incredibly expensive. It requires taxpayer subsidies. It's incredibly inefficient, and then we don't get to use the power. And so, you know, there's a lot of ways to create energy and create power. This just happens to be one of the most expensive. And quite frankly, if you consider the entire range of a lifespan of a turbine like this, probably one of the dirtiest carbon footprints that is out there when it comes to energy sources, because of everything needed to create these massive turbines and maintain them, and then the transmission lines. So this is a bad project. It's generally a bad idea. I'm not saying that it doesn't have a place anywhere, but taxpayer subsidies should not be needed to fuel our own energy supply, and that's what this would require.
Finally, I want to talk to you about some of the confirmation hearings we're anticipating, one of which is RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services Secretary. We expect that to be a heated hearing once it gets underway. And new this morning, there's reporting from our partners at The Hill that a group founded by former Vice President Mike Pence is coming out with a new ad, a new digital billboard in opposition of his nomination. How is that landing, or do you expect it to land in Washington?
What I do know is there is a tremendously strong focus on getting these appointees put into place. And you see it not just in the Senate, but even on the House. We get a lot of traffic over here to encourage our senators to move quickly. And you will see opposition. That's part of the process. We all know that. But I'll be honest, I see a lot of inertia that's behind these appointments. I think they're going to happen. We heard the president come out and make a statement about the possibility of recess appointments. And personally, I think that's a message coming from him that just says, I don't want any hiccups in this process. Not necessarily a threat, but he puts it on the table as a possible channel if he doesn't get the Democrat side to play ball with getting these appointments in. But Marnie, there's a big focus here on making sure this gets done in a timely fashion. And frankly, I think that they're going to.
All right, Congressman Fulcher, thank you as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.